The Sand People were known not just for their harmony with the land, but also for their incredible ability to track animals with unmatched precision. For centuries, they had walked side by side with the creatures of the earth, studying their movements, understanding their behavior, and reading the landscape as if it were a language only they could speak. The Sand did not hunt for sport, they hunted for survival, guided by a deep respect for the animals they pursued and the natural balance of life. Today, Nala and Kato were about to witness these ancient skills in action, a rite of passage for any young San, and a day they had been eagerly awaiting with excitement and wonder. The early morning light bathed the vast grasslands in a golden hue, casting long shadows that danced as the wind stirred the tall blades. The air was cool, still clinging to the remnants of night, but the promise of heat lingered on the horizon. Every inch of the land seemed alive, breathing with the rhythms of nature. Nala and Kato, walking softly behind Kato's father, Tao, felt the quiet energy of the plains beneath their feet. The earth seemed to respond to Tao's presence, as though recognizing a kindred spirit, someone who understood its secrets. His movements were fluid, deliberate, as if he had walked this path 100 times before. The children, though eager, sensed the sacredness of the moment and moved with care.
Kato, do you think we'll see a kudu or maybe even a springbok today?
I hope so. My father says the land speaks to those who listen. Every footprint, every broken twig tells a story, and we're about to learn how to read it.
The landscape around them seemed to hum with life, the distant chirping of birds, the soft rustling of leaves in the trees, the gentle swaying of the grass as the wind whispered through it. Tao, Sobo, always aware of his surroundings, suddenly stopped. His hand raised, signaling the children to halt. In an instant, the energy shifted. The wild felt closer now, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Nala and Kato stood still, feeling the weight of the silence settle around them. The world seemed sharper now, more vivid.
To be a good tracker, you must first become part of the earth itself. Quiet your heart, still your breath, and listen. The land will speak to you if you are patient.
For a moment, the children were mesmerized by Tao's stillness, as though he had become one with the earth, listening to its silent song. They too closed their eyes, allowing the world around them to come alive in a different way. It was as if the sounds they had once taken for granted now carried meaning. The soft rustling of the grass, the distant calls of birds, the faint scurry of tiny creatures underfoot. The longer they stood in silence, the clearer the world became, until they heard it. Faint footsteps, almost too quiet to notice, but unmistakable.
I hear the wind and footsteps.
Good, Nala. What you hear is a herd of springbok, moving swiftly. Now let's see if we can find them.
As they walked, it felt as if they were part of something greater. The Sand had always known that the land was alive, that it spoke in ways that only those attuned to its rhythms could hear. Today, Nala and Kato had begun to understand the first whisperings of the land's language. They moved with purpose now, not just as observers, but as participants in the ancient dance between nature and humankind. Every sound, every breath of wind seemed to tell a story, guiding them closer to the springbok herd that moved unseen ahead. The sun rose higher in the sky as they walked, the heat beginning to settle over the landscape. The earth beneath their feet felt alive, and every blade of grass seemed to hold a secret. Tao moved slowly, his eyes scanning the ground with the focus of a hawk. Asterisk. He knelt down suddenly, he used his fingers tracing the edges of a faint set of hoofprints in the dirt. The children hurried to his side, watching with awe as Tao studied the marks left behind.
Look closely, children. These tracks are fresh, perhaps only a few hours old. See how sharp the edges are? This springbok was moving quickly, likely startled by something.
His voice was calm, as though he had done this 1,000 times before.
His brow furrowed in concentration, trying to see what his father saw.
See how deep the prints are? The springbok was running, And notice how the grass is bent in that direction. It shows us which way it fled. The land speaks to us in many ways. We just have to know how to listen.
The sand's ability to track animals was unmatched, honed over countless generations. They had developed an instinct for reading the smallest, seemingly insignificant details. The way a blade of grass was bent, the angle of a broken twig, or the barely perceptible shifts in the behavior of birds and insects. Every whisper of the landscape held meaning to the sand. These clues, though invisible to many, painted a vivid picture in their minds, revealing the animal's path. It was not just about following a trail. It was about understanding the mind of the animal, anticipating its next move, and knowing with precision when to strike and when to wait in stillness. Hours passed as they followed the trail, the sun climbing higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the plains. Despite the heat, Tao moved steadily, his gaze never wavering from the path ahead. Nala and Kato, though tired, were determined to keep up. They had learned that patience was the key to a successful hunt. Asterisk, as they moved through a small grove of acacia trees, Tao suddenly stopped. His eyes narrowing, he held up a hand, signaling for the children to stay still. Daosui,
There just ahead, do you see the movement in the grass?
I see it. It's so close.
This is it, Nala. We're about to see the Sandway.
the hunt for the Sand People was far more than a mere pursuit of food. It was a sacred ritual, a delicate dance between predator and prey, where both played their part in the circle of life. They never took more than they needed, understanding that to do so would disrupt the fragile balance of the land. Every springbok, every kudu was seen as a generous gift from the earth itself, and the San honored that gift with deep gratitude and reverence. Each animal was respected, its spirit acknowledged through ritual, as the San approached every hunt with humility, knowing that they were sustained by the bounty of nature. Tao crouched low, his eyes locked on the springbok. He raised his hand again, signaling the children to stay back. As he moved silently through the grass, his body seemed to melt into the landscape, becoming one with the earth around him. Nala and Kato watched with bated breath, their hearts pounding in their chests. Every movement Tao made was deliberate, precise. He was a shadow in the grass, unseen and unheard. To the San, hunting was not merely a display of skill or strength. It was an act deeply rooted in respect and reverence for all life. They believed that the spirit of the animal continued to live on, even after its physical body was taken, merging back into the vast cycle of nature. Every hunt was approached with gratitude, as the San recognized that they were taking a life to sustain their own. A successful hunt was never viewed as a victory over nature or dominance over the animals. Instead, it was seen as a harmonious exchange, a sacred balance where one life was given so that another might be nourished and preserved. The earth provided, and they accepted with humility.
Not today.
Asterisk, confused, Nala and Kato approached him as he led them back to the path.
Father, why didn't you strike? You were so close.
The wind turned, and the springbok sensed me. To take its life now would be to dishonor the hunt. We must always respect the balance, Kato. The earth gives us what we need, and today, the springbok spirit remains free. Another day, we will have our chance.
And so, Nala and Kato learned the most important lesson of the hunt. Not just how to track, but how to respect the delicate balance of life that governed all living things. The Sand People knew they were not masters of the land, but part of its sacred cycle, woven into its fabric like threads in a tapestry. They understood that the earth would continue to provide for them as long as they lived in harmony with its natural rhythms and cycles. The hunt was never a conquest or a demonstration of power. It was a partnership, a sacred exchange, a ritual dance between life and death, survival and respect. Every animal taken was a gift, every step in the hunt a reminder of their place in the grand circle of life, where both predator and prey were part of a shared destiny.